Hello, 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 and welcome, guys, into another live stream. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, guys. Hello, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Sorry, guys, I joined a bit late because I had some technical difficulties, but everything is sorted now, so we are good to go. Hello, hello. Welcome, guys, to another live stream. Another cybersecurity Q&A live. Hopefully, we're going to have a great chat and spend some time with you guys. Let me just finish my setup. There we go. Hello, hello, guys. Welcome, welcome back. Yeah, welcome back indeed. We started straight away with the university questions. No, you shouldn't. I mean, it depends where you are in your life. If you already started university, then obviously it's not a waste. You can continue doing it. But if you want to go university just for cybersecurity, then there's no necessity to do that unknown. Hey, peace. Yeah. Happy New Year. Yeah, weekend was good. Redden. I obviously enjoyed the Peppa Pig show with my girls. So yeah, it was loads of fun watching Peppa Pig show. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay, fair enough. Unknown. Yeah. I mean, it's up to you guys. But as I say, there's no specific need to go university just for cybersecurity. I always say to people, you're going to waste 3 years in university. That's not going to bring you any closer to cybersecurity job. So there are other ways, and I've done it myself. I went through a self-learning route, so there are other ways to go into cybersecurity. I'm 15. What is something I should do to get into cybersecurity? Well, first of all, you need to start. It depends what your technical expertise and knowledge is, Fahad. But I would say you need to start with the basics. Just go and get yourself, or go and explore on YouTube. Do go Professor Messer courses, watch through A+ videos and explore. How do operating system work? How does computer and hardware work? And especially, I know sometimes resources can be scarce, but for example, building and doing stuff while you're studying is the best way to learn. So, do A+, build yourself a computer, learn how different things work and stuff like that. How do you rate EC Council's CISO certification? I think that's the probably only one that's kind of decent certification from EC Councils. I know some CISOs who've done it before, but again, it's very specific. It's only makes sense if you're going for leadership positions. Otherwise, there's no point doing CISO. Marius, could you explain a bit about SOC lifestyle and what timing is? Yeah, sure, Red. I think, first of all, in the start of your career, you'll be extremely fortunate if you end up working 9 to 5. Most likely, you're going to work. If you're working for MSP, or any other company, you have to remember, SOCs need to cover 24/7. So usually it contains some kind of shift work. There are organizations who are, forward-looking, who do 8-hour shifts, but most likely it's going to be 12-hour shift. So it's either going to be 8 to 8 or 7 to 7, and it normally works on a pattern. You work in 4 on, 4 off. So it can be hard to begin with. It can be, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of, learning, and there's a lot of pressure to handle incidents and stuff like that. But at the same time, it can be really rewarding. And, you normally are not there by yourself. So you have a team of people that surround you who can help you to learn. But yeah, it normally, it's shift work, whether it's nights, whether it's days, it's 12 hours, 4 on, 4 off. Some people do 3 on, 3 off. It kind of depends. But yeah, it's intense. There's a lot of incidents. There's a lot of stuff that, you need to figure it out first. There's a lot of false positives, obviously, that kind of makes you, you need to go through the motions and be comfortable in learning, and then you'll pick up stuff. What it says, Sophia says, I'm looking for junior cybersec jobs for months, but I don't know because of no job experience what to do. Well, first of all, I always say to people, looking for job is tough out there right now. And if you're just applying for jobs, you're competing against hundreds of people. I said that before, guys. Building your personal brand is the most important thing that you're ever going to do in your cybersecurity. So you need to differentiate yourself. You need to meet people. You need hiring managers. You need to be able to build a personal brand and jobs will come towards you. But again, you have to go through a lot of emotions. There are other, influencers who say, you need to apply to at least 1,000 of jobs to get any snip. But it's tricky. There's a lot of competitions out there. And as I say, there are other ways around it to get, experience doesn't necessarily mean you did the cybersecurity job. It's about how you build your CV and showcase how you building skills and building experience. Hello, Mr. What operating system do you use? It depends. I use, for day job, I use Windows. For other things, I use Ubuntu, Kali Linux, and Security Onion. How can I hack someone's social media? Why would you want to break the law, Sugar Daddy? Do you want to go into prison? You can't hack someone's social media. There's a hacker is a bad cybersecuritist. There is no such a word, cybersecuritist, but yeah, a hacker is someone who's breaking the law. It depends, Reddin, on, after shift calls, it really depends. If you're working for internal business, yes, you normally are on some sort of rotation. If you're working for a big MSP who has, a big team, you're rarely going to be in that place. You normally become sort of calling shifts when you upgrade yourself to sort of incident responder and things like that. So not necessarily in SOC, that's going to be the case. I'm taking Cyber Ops on Cisco. I'm considering SOC, which platform I can use to learn the skills. Phipps, first of all, try HackMe. But the most important, there is no platform. Try HackMe. Blue Team Labs online, you can learn some, but the best thing you can do for yourself is build a home lab using virtualization. So, as long as you've got a decent laptop with at least 16 gigs of RAM, you can play around with that. Yeah, no problem, Zofia. What certificate I need in order to enter cybersecurity industry career? You don't need any certificate. You need skills. But if you do one, it's Security Plus. How to start real beginner? Well, start at the very beginning, Totti. You need to understand hardware, operating systems. Start with CompTIA A+. Yeah, exactly. I see that too often, Reddit. The best one is, I just get messages. Like, I just got a message before I started the stream saying, oh, give me your WhatsApp number so I can message you and you answer all my cybersecurity questions. People expect, like, just message me and, I'm become your personal trainer for nothing, for free. So you can disturb me anytime you want. What advice can you give me as a beginner in cybersecurity? Well, Idris, the most important advice I can give you is start at the very beginning. You need to learn systems, operating systems, hardware. You need to understand how computers and networks work before you are able to secure them. I'm IT tech. How can I move to cyber? Well, obviously, if you got enough IT knowledge, especially in networking, then it's about learning the fundamentals of cybersecurity, Ali. Doing something like Security Plus, and then it's about building skills, building home labs and stuff like that. Yeah, Try Hack Me is good. It's a good starting point. I always say to Red, you can start with Try Hack Me, but I think once you gain enough skills and sort of become a bit more advanced, home lab is the way to go, and that's where the next way to go. I'm not in a red team, Maddie. I'm in leadership, so I work as a CISO. The consultation form, Redin, that's for businesses. So it's. I assume you came across for. It should be in my MP cybersecurity site, not in my personal site. But it's essentially. I help businesses to build their cybersecurity strategy and understand what kind of cyber risks they face and stuff like that. Pen testing certs are always worth it. Not necessarily the case, Maddie. You can do as many pen testing certs as you want. You still will struggle to get a pen testing job if you have no experience. I haven't played around with Wiz, but yeah, you can class Defender for Cloud as CNAP. So yeah, I have used similar tools, Sam. Yeah. I used before, what's the other one? Sysdig, I think is classed as CNAP as well. You can't get my number, Idris. I'm not doing personal mentorship. Good knowledge of networks. I'll look into this. Yeah, no problem, Ali. Yeah, good stuff. Is it smart to work towards blue team threat intelligence, then go to GRC later? It depends, Matthew. I wouldn't say, threat intelligence necessarily lends itself to going into GRC later. But if you wish, anything is possible, I would say. But, I would go probably straight into GRC if that's the real goal. But because threat intelligence, yes, it opens a lot of different avenues, but not necessarily, I would say, it adds having experience in threat intelligence going to GRC, because GRC is all about, risk management, compliance, building governance and kind of, standards. So threat intelligence or blue teaming in that space doesn't necessarily kind of help you. So you can probably have a look. There are, I'm sure there are organizations recruiting for junior GRC, but as long as you cover some of the basics and understand how, for example, things like ISO 27001, for example, I think there is a to doing being an auditor, understand NIST CSF, understanding risk management and stuff like that. Well, not necessarily, I would say, Maddie. UK market is crap, I think, for leadership, but for any other positions, there's still loads of jobs. It's just, I think, as any market, it's just becoming tough to land roles nowadays. And, just relying on just applying, I don't think it's going to be, it's the way to go nowadays. Of course, you can do Ali the Great. You can do cybersecurity, of course, without college. For a complete beginner, how does one get into cybersecurity as a job? Well, you have to start at the beginning, Raf. You just go and learn operating systems, hardware, start with CompTIA Plus, learn the networks. Then you can start learning theory of cybersecurity, and then it's about building skills. Can I get into this field? Yeah, you can get without college, of course. I want to do Professor Master Security Plus, but I have been very ill, busy. That's why I do Try Help Me. Yeah, fair enough. Looking after your health is the most important thing, Red. And, we see this too often in cybersecurity. People get burned out, get stressed out. Looking after yourself, and once you become healthy, then obviously you can get into the next one. Is the job market actually bad, or is it just people not putting to work and complaining? I think there's probably a bit of both. There is a bit of downturn, surely, in the market, but I always say, I keep talking about just applying to the roles. It's not gonna guarantee you landing a role. And there's big competition nowadays in cybersecurity. And that's what I always talk about. Building personal brand. It's about meeting people, communicating, networking with people, going to conferences, meeting hiring managers. There's so many other ways how you can differentiate yourself and showcase yourself than just applying to roles, competing against hundreds and hundreds of people, and then, saying that you're not successful when you're not being proactive. Jay says, I'm on path to getting CC. Can I land an entry low? I'm new into the getting CC. Do you mean, Jay, IC2 CC cert? If that's the case, then it's all about skills again, Jay. That cert alone doesn't give you anything. And if that's all you've learned, then I would say you pretty much has very limited chances of landing job. You need way more than that. Yeah, good stuff, Redin. Then it says, what you'll say is the next step after working as a SOC analyst for 2 years. I would say do exactly as I did. I went from SOC. I did SOC about 18 months. Yeah, 18 months to 2 years. I went into cloud security engineering. So I moved into cloud security engineering kind of / architecture. And I think that's kind of a great linear path, especially if you love technology and if you kind of, again, love continue developing and you want to stay technical. That would be my kind of goal and suggestion to go in that path. Matthew TV. Yeah, I think so, Matthew. If you covered and you kind of understand the systems and operating systems and how computers kind of work at a decent enough level, so you kind of covered in your information systems, kind of covered the A+ knowledge, then yeah, I would say do Network Plus. And again, you don't necessarily need to do the Network Plus exam, but you need to know the knowledge pretty well to cover the networking basics. But Security Plus, I would say, yeah, definitely do exam and get a cert. And then it's practice about home labs, building the skills, learning the tools that SOC analysts use, and then it's go. Then it's kind of you are ready to go. Why are people so afraid of CISO roles? What's your personal experience with it? I think people are afraid of CISO roles because it comes with a lot of pressure. People always think that CISO will be the one to blame if breach happens, and it's not an easy role. And also from my LinkedIn posting, I posted some posts just before Christmas about CISO resignation letters and stuff like that, which had over 300,000 views on it. I think people come with bad experiences from CISO roles because businesses say they care about cybersecurity, but when it comes to actually budgets and buying tools and supporting the CISO in terms of acquiring people and tools and stuff like that, it's not always the case. And they always, there's so many stories where CISOs become a scapegoat or they're getting fired when breach happens, even though the risks that they presented to the board been ignored. So there's a lot of that, and I think that's why people are afraid of it. My personal experience has been really good, and maybe I'm successful or lucky to be in a business that actually supports cybersecurity and kind of listens to advice. But it's also, I think, personally depends how you shape that advice. It also depends what outcome you're going to get. Yeah, exactly, Maddie. Yeah. You're gonna the networking is the biggest advantage in building personal brand you're gonna get in terms of journey to cybersecurity. To Cesare, I always say again, most of these job specs are wish lists. Yes, they're asking for 2 years experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't bypass. It's all about how you explain and showcase that you got the skills. You have to learn by doing and building and using tools and understanding how to investigate incidents, because you can bypass these 2 years worth of experience if you can answer the questions well in the interview, like how would you investigate the incident, how you prioritize the cyber risk, how would you do this and that and that. And that requires, as I say, home labs, going through various attack scenarios, really understanding the kind of the level of threats that organizations are face and how to think. And I think that's the hardest bit, because Security Plus will not teach you how to investigate cybersecurity incident, how to think and prioritize between two different risks in two different business segments, and that's where the hard bit comes through. I'm getting into it, but I want to do cybersecurity. What should I know? I don't know how to answer this question, History. You should know, first start with A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. You should know all of the theory before you build skills. Yes, correct, Redden. Yes, I am the founder and CEO of MP Cybersecurity Services. So this is the business that I created, and I want to grow, and essentially want to get to a place where this has become my single employment instead of juggling the two. But that requires, obviously building clientele and getting enough customers in through the door. And it's kind of hard. I guess it's the hardest bit, because when you are a CISO, you're always kind of resisting sales, because every time, cybersecurity vendors want to sell you things, and you try to avoid being, sold stuff. But now when you are a business owner, you need to sell your services in order to get clients. So I'm kind of on a journey to do that. But I think, through networks and stuff like that, and that's gonna, it's gonna come. I think I already answered that, Sheena. Any possible ideas for myself, who's a cybersecurity undergrad who also loves low-level hardware? Well, it all depends, Bob. Again, it's very hard to answer the question in terms of giving advice someone when. What's your target goal? What you want to do with your? Do you want to go into cybersecurity? Do you have any cybersecurity experience? What's your, role? What do you want to achieve? Then it's easier to answer, because just I don't like answering these kind of questions without having enough context, because it's pointless to me pointing you in the direction that might not work for you. What tools do you use on a daily basis, and why do you use it? Well, first of all, surely I'm in cybersecurity leadership, so I'm not really that in a technical nitty-gritty and don't really use the tools that much anymore. But if I, rewind from my security engineering days, I would say, I worked recently in a Microsoft house, so I'd use stuff like Azure Sentinel, Defender for endpoint, Defender for identity, Defender for cloud, Intune. I would use SNCC for SEA and SAST. I would use mixture of Burp Suite or OWASP Zap for DAST. We used also Darktrace Antigena for email security. We used a bit of Splunk. I think that was kind of the main ones. Oh, we also used. I built my own honeypots, but we also used, what's the other tool we used? We used for breach and attack simulation, the tool, I don't remember the name now. Yes, Maddie, I'm based in UK. What tools can I use for projects and home labs? It's very difficult to work it out without structure. Well, Matthew, I would always say, start with 3 basics: Kali Linux, Security Onion, and Windows Server. Now, Kali Linux has all of the hacking tools, and it will help you to answer most of the, kind of hacking questions and do attacks. Security Onion, you can download Wazoo, which covers your SIEM and your EDR or XDR nowadays. And then you can use OpenWAS for vulnerability management, Wireshark for network attacks. And then obviously Windows, you can work around with Defender. You can, export your logs into Wazoo, and, that's kind of the main starting point, and then you can advance. Yeah, definitely. You have to become a good salesman. No, I don't have big. My personal, business is just by myself now, Red, and hopefully, as and when it grows, I specifically, you sometimes probably see in some of the posts there is a cutoff kind of on my. I built my vision board of how the MP cybersecurity is going to look like in the next 10 years. So there is loads of ambitions and plans to grow it, but we'll see. We'll see where we get to, and hopefully hire some more people. And I also got outlined kind of 4 business kind of goals I want to do. I want to create a business cybersecurity investment company, invest in UK businesses because there's limited investment for cybersecurity businesses in UK. I want to create cybersecurity academy, cybersecurity consultancy business, and what was the other one? I created 4. Consultancy academy and labs to create new innovation in cybersecurity, essentially. What's the best master's program for technical cyber? I would say, Matthew, anything to do with AI now and usage of AI in cybersecurity, it's going to be a great avenue to explore. So there are universities who are starting to create programs with AI. There's two avenues: AI usage in cybersecurity and securing AI. So either one you can explore. Okay, good stuff, Maddie. Doing red teaming. Cool. Brute force. My main role is I'm a CISO at fintech, Maddie. I'm a CISO at kind of global fintech. So we go clients in UK, US, Australia. It's not a big business, but we kind of growing and landing some big clients. So yeah, I've been a CISO here for almost 3 years now. I have a team under me, and yeah, we've been doing well. Why not hire salespeople in exchange for personal guidance? Yeah, I would love to hire salespeople, but the problem is that my personal business, it's not bringing enough money to be able to pay someone. Currently I would say it's more of a hobby because I'm kind of managing a full-time job with running my own business. So I think I'm actually getting more success working with cybersecurity vendors. So the recent, especially LinkedIn success, brings me loads of board advisory positions, a lot of consultations with various vendors, how to build cybersecurity products, how to build go-to-market strategies, but not necessarily, direct client work. So I need to invest more time, and I think kind of 2026 is going to be dedicated for that. Since you said you're doing both, is there a certain niche you want to consult in rather than multiple sectors? It depends, Maddie. Well, obviously, I'm working mainly. Well, my last number of years been in financial services, so I think that kind of lends itself staying in that. So probably I'll probably stick around with financial services because I think sometimes people are hesitant to hire you when you don't have experience, say, in manufacturing or somewhere like that, or defense. So I'll probably stick around with finance. How's the market now regarding GRC? What is the best certificate for GRC? I think the market is okay with GRC, and I think GRC is always going to be needed, and compliance and stuff like that doesn't go away. In terms of certificates, there's not many GRC certificates nowadays. I think one of the main ones is obviously ISO 27001 lead auditor or lead implementer. But other than that, on top of my head, I don't really remember any other GRC. I think the only other one is what was it? CCSP, I think. The cloud cert that kind of covers GRC aspects of it. Oh yeah, thanks, Maddie. Yeah, currently it's more of a side hustle, but as long as when I can bring enough clients to sustain kind of money flow similar to my salary, then I can jump the ship and my personal business will become my kind of full-time stuff. I think so. I think it depends. It depends on your connections and where you get. I think obviously there's a lot of financial services businesses in UK, and they're always popping up. There's various kind of niche banks. There's obviously kind of fintechs are. I think we are on the ascendance where business is trying to use technology to kind of solve various kind of financial services problems. So they're becoming more fintechs than just financial services. But I think they are kind of popping up left, right, and center. So I think there's enough business potential in that area. Yeah, definitely. If I can't work out my path, should I do try hack me rooms and answer how they relate to GRC? Yeah, you can. If you I think there's a lot of information online. You just have to, I guess, persevere a bit and do a bit of research. Um, you know, GRC is a big field again. You just have to, I guess, find your way into kind of organization, or I guess big organizations that hire kind of junior level people who are willing to spend money and time to train people. As long as you cover the basics, and I always say, if you are switched on, if you are curious, and you are continuously developing yourself and finding ways to better yourself, you're gonna find a role. I think the people who are really struggling and who are continuously seeing in the comments and stuff like that, it's just people expecting to be handed stuff on a plate. They say, oh, I want to do cybersecurity, can I message you and you tell me everything? I was like, no, guys, you need to get off your ass and do something and be proactive. Understand, even to start with, everyone talks about cybersecurity, but cybersecurity is a field or an industry. You don't just go into cybersecurity. You go in or secure a specific role. So, path for every single role is completely different. So at least do that to understand that. Loads of people just, heard somewhere that cybersecurity pays well, and they just want to, explore that area without actually doing any work themselves. Which is, it's not necessarily going to work that way. But yeah, if you're exploring GRC, then as I say, have a look at ISO 27001, the courses. Have a look and explore, for example, how, for example, find people with the blogs, with the videos, how people doing, for example, NIST CSF assessments, NIST RMF assessments. Get yourself a book. It's called How to Measure Anything in Cybersecurity Risk. It's a great book about cybersecurity risk measurement, which is going to be amazing for you in GRC career. Again, have a look even at GRC books. For example, I think one of my good friends from LinkedIn, let me actually find, he just released a GRC book, which I think should be, I think he's very good. Okay, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, good stuff, Matthew. Yeah, that book is really good. But another one is Dr. Mike Bass. So he's one of my good friends, and he just published a book. Actually, let me find on LinkedIn. I think he just published recently. See how it's called. Where is it? Mike Brass, sorry. Dr. Mike Brass. He works at National Highways. And he's got a Udemy course as well, a GRC data privacy course, and his book is called Governance Risk Compliance, Demystifying the Risk and Data Privacy Landscape. That's the book. So, Dr. Mike Brass. So, have a look at that as well. But yeah, I would say, do on LinkedIn again. On LinkedIn is amazing because you can search people who got GRC roles. And I always say, LinkedIn is an amazing tool. Message people, message 10 people a day. Ask them about how they broke into GRC. Obviously be cordial, introduce themselves, comment on their posts, add friends on LinkedIn, add 10 people a day and message 10 people a day. That's 300 people a month. That's 300 unique insights, how they broke into GRC, how they built their career. And then also, when you are sharing to those people, how are you developing your own skills? You're becoming essentially a LinkedIn buddy. But, when roles appear in those organizations, and for those 300 people, who do you think they're going to refer? They're going to refer you. And that's amazing way of, bypassing the kind of the competition that you're just blindly applying. Yeah, no rush, Redden. Yeah, whenever you have chance. But I think that book is going to open a lot of eyes, and kind of teach you a bit about cybersecurity that I guess most people, even in cybersecurity, don't think like that. And there's so many people stuck in kind of old ways. So whenever you get a chance, definitely spend some time reading that book. Keep the questions coming, guys. I'm gonna hit the gym in a bit, but I'll stick around for a little bit if we get any more people. I think it's kind of weird. We get a lot of people, but I think people get, thinking I'm gonna tell them some crazy story that you do Security Plus, and all of a sudden magically you're gonna get 200K job, and everyone runs away. Yeah, it's gonna be great, and hopefully yeah, Matthew, exactly. But it's all about it's all about you have to put in the work, and comment on people's posts, interact, because LinkedIn again is a great source of information. I've been doing LinkedIn for 10 years, and currently LinkedIn is my biggest platform. I've got over 18,000 followers. So I've been building that personal brand over the years, but it's been great. It brought so many different opportunities, and it continues to do some great stuff. I think I mentioned on the last live, I'm going in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Athens to talk and present. All expenses paid because of LinkedIn. I'm talking for IC2. Recently, they asked me to do a webinar about cybersecurity leadership and stuff like that. When is the right time, skill and experience to start your own home labs? I would say there is no right time, piece. It depends where you are. I think as long as I think you can do it alongside it if you got enough time. But if you're struggling, I think I would cover the theory and get sort of Security Plus out of the way. But again, studying while doing things, I think, lends itself very well. And I think, again, I'm a big proponent of learning and actually troubleshooting and finding problems. I think that's how you learn the most. So, even building, virtual machines, people come up to, errors and problems, and finding out the answers is really great stuff to troubleshoot, debug. It's a great thing to share to your network, LinkedIn, blog, to write something about how you're building those home labs, what exercise you're trying to do. So I think, there is no really wrong answer here, because especially, if you're using virtualization such as VirtualBox, it doesn't cost anything. It just costs time. So as long as you got some spare time to dedicate alongside the theory learning, start it now. If not, then, stagger one after the other. Yeah, exactly, Redden. And that's a great way, because don't forget, Redden, I always say this is one thing that's really amazing as well about this, cybersecurity industry and cybersecurity community. Just you, by posting your personal experience and your learning journey, there's always one person who's a step behind you who's going to learn something. Do never underestimate that even if you are a newbie posting on LinkedIn, there's always going to be someone who is a one step behind, and people are going to be thankful for it, or people are going to correct you. It's just about, being courteous and using the feedback in the right way, I guess, and being, I think sometimes people on social media get into arguments and fights for, and people, I think nowadays don't really know how to criticize someone without insulting someone, and that's becoming trickier. But yeah, sometimes you just have to put yourself and jump out of the comfort zone and put yourself out there because, I think bravery gets rewarded at the end of the day. So, you just need to spend some time and do that. Port abuser says, you got any experience on red teaming? Not necessarily red teaming itself, but I worked with pen testing previously, and I built pen testing strategies. Obviously, I've done some red teaming, and obviously I've built Kali Linux and used most of the tools from Kali. So yeah, I've got some, Porter. You got any specific questions to ask around that? I'm just kind of going through the stream. Sometimes I forget that there is other streams and people ask questions in other. Yeah. Well, not necessarily analogies, Matthew, but I would say that the one thing that normally people or neglect people is communication skills are very important in cybersecurity, because unless you can influence people, unless you can convince people, unless you can get people on board on your ideas, some of your ideas might never reach a day of light. And that's a very, sometimes people really struggle with that. If people are really great, have great technical abilities, they really struggle sometimes to explain their ideas. And that's where, I think sometimes people stumble or getting to the next stage of their career. So communication is really important. And I've read, especially when I got to leadership, my book reading really changed. I went from reading really technical books to reading books about influencing people, about communications, about not being the smartest person in the room, or how to use empathy and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, I think I can, and I always kind of stumble across different cybersecurity kind of content ideas. I kind of stay mainstream of what's currently kind of popping in my comments or what I come across. But yeah, I think Mauritius, you should be able to. Have you looked on my? There's my YouTube link on my bio, so it should be on. If you go onto my bio, it should work. Or just search in MP Cybersecurity in YouTube. You'll find my channel. Yeah, I think so. I think I can create something like that, explaining just in a basic terms what is cybersecurity. I think the problem is, and I kind of struggle between the two, because YouTube is really hard in terms of long form content. So sometimes you just have to stick to shorts, but shorts is really hard sometimes to explain and convey all of the intricacies of what cybersecurity is. But yeah, I'll try and cover a couple of things. I think it won't let you paste links in a chat, Reddit. I think there is no link in here. But yeah, you can just write that in YouTube and you'll find it. Yeah, of course it is. It's all about, just building skills. I think one thing, Matthew, I will say one thing that, it's true in life and in sport and anywhere else. Hard work beats talent. So as long as you put in the reps, you might not become the best technical person, but you are definitely more than able to learn enough and be good enough. I think the cybersecurity is difficult, and everyone gets imposter syndrome because whenever you start, you are at the bottom of the massive mountain that it is cybersecurity. And the problem is, people think about straight away how I'm going to get on top of it. But you have to think about what's the next step and how can I get one step higher every single day. And that's how you have to look at it, Just learning one acronym, one symbol, one, system or whatever a day helps you. As long as you're moving in the right direction, as long as you, and use, for example, Matthew, I don't know if you've seen, I created a post. Now, I think we created a Telegram community, and I think we got now, how many we got people? We got 26 people. Again, the goal is to get people together, like Reddin, like others who, are on a similar journey, maybe one step ahead, maybe one step behind, but, get people together to talk, to get people to answer questions, learn together. There is a post. If you go back to my TikToks, there's a couple of posts. There is a video with a blue screen, and there is what else there is, and I posted there's a green also picture collection where I put 6 reasons to join our Telegram community, and there is a link in the description, so you'll find there, Matthew. No, it's not this account. The channel is called, let me see if I can put in comments. So the actual channel is called oh, for some reason it won't let me. So basically you have to search for CTRL+ALT+DEFEND. Control-Alt-Defend. That's the channel, Mauritius. Yeah, no problem, Matthew. Yeah, join. We hopefully, we're gonna grow this Telegram community and get more and more like-minded people who can, just essentially help each other on the journey, learn together. I think somebody messaged as well in the channel recently that they're gonna record a video on how to build and install home labs and stuff like that. So we're gonna create some more material. I'm going to try and message there as well whenever I go live. Today I was a bit delayed because I was supposed to go live at 6, but for some reason I kind of didn't figure it out because before I used to stream on the phone and OBS because I couldn't figure out how to use vertical canvas. But then I figured it out today, but I kept getting an error. But now I figured out how to use and stream everything through OBS Studio. So I'm streaming Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and TikTok, all of it through OBS Studio. So hopefully that's going to continue working the way it is now. So we can get more streams, more people, and help more people to get into cybersecurity. Okay, you found Mauritius. Good stuff. And I think I've got a decent day tomorrow, so I'm gonna try and stream some tomorrow as well, and I'm gonna let you know, guys, when I'm gonna go live tomorrow also. But coming up to 8 o'clock. Any final questions, guys, before I drop off and go gym? If not, again, follow me for more cybersecurity journeys. Follow my YouTube, guys, as well. We're posting all kinds of videos. I posted a video today as well about just covering basic Security Plus 10 questions and answers. We're just kind of allowing you to learn how to think and how to find keywords in the questions, how to think through the answers, how to think about various cybersecurity concepts. Join our Telegram community if you want to chat and hang around with the like-minded cybersecurity professionals and those who are just starting out. Everyone's welcome. We don't differentiate anyone. But yeah, guys, have a wonderful evening. And I'll catch you tomorrow, hopefully. I'm gonna create probably an event when I figure out when I can go live, or drop a video when I let you know, guys. Until then, have a wonderful evening. Keep striving, guys. Keep working hard, and hopefully all of you guys are gonna get cybersecurity job that you wish for, and I'm here to help you guys and make that success. Catch you later on.